Good day everyone. In this video, I will discuss the history of Novellino wine. But before I'll start discussing the topic, let me introduce myself first. I am Janeth Acorda, a BSHM student. In 1899, sweet, sparkling, and chilled red wine was not exactly the Philippines' first choice of beverage. It was beer and gin that Filipinos prefer. Then a welcome disruption arrived, in a form of man with the vigor of a crusader. His name is Vicente Nonoy Quimbo, Chief Executive Officer of Novellino Wines. That year, he aimed to start changing the entire country's drinking habits from beer and gin to wine. With his aptitude and years of experience, he later took a major role in a soft drinks company which brought him to the different places in the world. But even while carrying that vital role, he was never away from his entrepreneurial aspirations to produce his own wine. He said, "I do it in the Philippines because it's not just where I grew up, but this is where I saw the opportunity as well." He shared his idea with the Metro Pacific group of companies. Soon, the company launched their own wine, in partnership with an Italian brand, but it didn't take long before the company decided to leave the consumer business. Nonoy, as a determined dreamer, saw this as an opportunity to start running his own wine brand. Besides, he wasn't satisfied on the existing product. He thinks it wasn't sweet enough. He bought the wine business from Metro Pacific and started a company that we now know as Novellino Wine, the ambition to make the Philippines a wine drinking country. There is sweet wine and dry wine. In the research, they saw that there is a very little wine drinking in the Philippines. Nonoy had a theory that Filipinos don't like dry wine, so why not make sweet wine? Filipinos are sweet-tongued. He tried to let his friends and other people taste his sweet wine and they liked it. Sweet was a low-brainer. Nonoy knew that if he wanted to stay afloat, he had to listen to the public's desire. That was why even if sweet wine is more difficult and expensive to make, he still pushed it because he wanted to be in that line of business and knowing that he can force something that the market rejects. They had to hide in an Italian image at first to show its credibility and to compete with the best wines. They had to find a name to suit their image. It has to sound something like a new kind of wine, Nonoy says. The word novel came up. It also turns out that our winemaker comes from a town called Novello. It's kind of jive. Now, with millions of bottles produced in a year, no one dares question Novellino's credibility and lineage. "We are a Filipino wine," Nonoy proudly says. Novellino wines began production with four varieties: classic red wine, classic white wine, light sparkling, and heavy sparkling. As the brand grew, they developed flavors and expanded their types of wine. Now they have 15 products under the Novellino wine. In 2009, Nonoy decided to come back to the Philippines while his family stays in the United States. 2012, when Chris, one of Nonoy's sons, went back to the Philippines to join his father in Novellino. He told himself he'd give it a year to figure things out. 6 years later, he made the Philippines his home. Chris is now the president and general manager of Novellino Wines. By his own admission, he still has a lot to learn, mostly from his father, who has taught him to more than enough lessons to last a lifetime. A lesson he learned: listen to your father. The brand has dramatically converted a formerly nine-wine drinking country into what it is now. The Kimbos know they have a lot more mindset changing to do. While the crusade of Novellino wines continues, it is worth pondering on the brand's year of ascendancy in a once untapped market. The country's drinks-loving palates are ever so thankful. And that's the story, or the history rather, of the Novellino wine. Thank you for watching.